Hello, I'm Sister Rosemary Greco, the director at Wisdom House Retreat Center in Litchfield, Connecticut. We're happy to have with us this weekend Reverend Cynthia Bourgeault, who is going to be speaking on the meaning of Mary Magdalene and Jesus as wisdom teachers. Cynthia is an internationally known retreat director and the author of 7 books, including the book on the meaning of Mary Magdalene and another book which is pertinent, The Wisdom Jesus. Cynthia is a teacher of the contemplative Christian path and has been teaching this in various parts of the United States and abroad. So we welcome Cynthia to be with us this weekend. But I wonder if you could describe for us, how do you understand wisdom teachers?
Well, wisdom teachers would depend a little on how I understand wisdom.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, wisdom is not knowing more, but it's knowing with more of you. Knowing with a depth. It's not information, it's not a content or a philosophy or metaphysics. It lives in every tradition like an underground stream, and it can garb itself in the theological and devotional structures of any faith. So it is a common ground between the traditions, but like water, it's invisible. It matches the container that holds it. And so a wisdom teacher is one who can bring forth, who can bear witness in her own being or his own being to this depth dimension and to bring it forth in others. It's very much a walking the talk sort of thing. You can't get certified in wisdom. That's a great oxymoron.
Right.
It's a person who in their own life have touched the well springs of wisdom presence, in such a way that they can manifest an alert receptivity to the situation, an ability to take your bearings in the now, and to respond to what's before you from the heart without needing recourse to ideologies or lesson plans or any of that sort of stuff.
And how do you see then Jesus and Mary Magdalene, since that's the theme for this weekend, how would you see them then as these wisdom teachers?
Well, of course, we know much more about Jesus as a teacher than Mary Magdalene because we've had 2,000 years to rehearse what we know. And we understand that he just absolutely typifies what you would call a wisdom teacher. As a matter of fact, it was always rather confusing to me that in seminary, when I was doing theological education, they gave us 2 choices: was Jesus a priest or a prophet? Without realizing how he himself self-identified and taught, which is in the great wisdom tradition. He taught by conscious presence, by being able to find teaching situations. You know, the brilliant example of when they're trying to pin him about, shall we pay taxes to Caesar? And he picks up the coin and says, well, whose face is on this coin? This could only be given in the moment. It didn't come from some sort of philosophy that he thought about whether one pays taxes as a good wisdom Christian or Jew. So there was this present moment awareness. There was the ability not only to remain present and unflappable himself, but to call forth when other people looked into the mirror of his being, they saw not only his deepest reality, but their own as well. So that's classic wisdom teaching. And what we're beginning to see now as the church peeks its head out of the foxhole of 2,000 years of demonization of Mary Magdalene as a repentant prostitute, which has absolutely no scriptural basis. And we come back to what the early church saw her as apostle to apostles. And particularly as we recover the texts that present her in a non-demonized way, we see she had the same capacity. There's a powerful passage in the Gospel of Mary Magdalene, right after Jesus has left the upper room, when the disciples are all quivering in their boots and saying, well, they didn't spare him, how are they going to spare us? And it says she went to them, stood up, embraced them, reminded them of the teaching, and says, he will be with us. He's called us to this, and actually raised their state of being so they stopped being scared and hangdog and were able to move forward. So she restored them to rightful mind. And all of these are gifts of a wisdom teacher. And there's very, very good evidence that suggests that they work together in their ministry a lot more than we have allowed ourselves in the church to believe, with this insistence that Jesus had only male disciples and the rest were all just camp followers, which is belied by the scriptures themselves. So we have a lot to learn about. They model profoundly empowering models of men and women working together in spiritual leadership.
Sounds like the book, too, is a very hopeful insight into their joint ministry together.
Mm-hmm.
What would you hope people would draw from reading the book on the meaning of Mary Magdalene?
Well, I like G.K. Chesterton's famous quip. He said, "Christianity isn't a failure, it just hasn't been tried yet." And if we can simply cut the living heart of this teaching loose from 2,000 years of doctrinal and dogmatic and institutional imprisonment, we see there, right at the core, profound models of spiritual transformation on the path of love, profound models of relational health, and a whole different understanding of where Jesus was coming from when he taught and healed and changed the world. And it's an understanding that I think as time has desperately come in our world, and that most people who have been so wounded by Christianity, and I work with many of them, I would say my major sort of parish is heartbroken Christians. And when they begin to realize that they inevitably were wounded not by something that's authentically in the faith, but by all the accretions and dysfunctions that have crept in around it, particularly in the Western Church, it gives us a chance to come back to the real deal again and to understand it as a living and transformational and inclusive path.
Thank you very much, Cynthia. We are really looking forward to this weekend with you and to further work on your book. Thank you.
Well, thank you.
Here at Wisdom House, which is an interfaith retreat and conference center, we present programs in spirituality, education, and the arts. And this week's retreat is one of those that really combines most of these aspects. We welcome you to come and visit us or visit our website, wisdomhouse.org. Thank you.